How's everybody doing? George the Tech here. So I just got an email from our friends at Centrance saying, yo, we've got some gear in stock that we'd really love to move out. And so they're doing a promotion right now. And 3 of those pieces of gear that are on promotional sale, and I'll have a link to where you can find these products because the link doesn't, if you go to centrance.com, the prices won't be there. You have to visit through the special discount landing page for these to get these prices. But I figured this would be a great way to show, because I happen to have all 3 of these audio interfaces and preamps with me. So what I'm going to go over with you guys today are, again, all from Centrance. The MixerFace R4, which is the device I've had here the longest, and it's the interface that started off a whole new design revolution from Centrance, and I'll show you what it can do and what makes it unique. I'll show you the, let's say, the evolved version of MixerFace. The Centrance PortCaster kind of takes the idea of the MixerFace and adds a few extra unique bells and whistles that are awesome for doing field recording, working remotes, and doing, of course, voiceover. That's a no-brainer. But it's got a built-in recorder, so that makes it cool and unique. And actually, I'll show you what I'm talking about, because that's the whole point of video, is to show and tell. So here's our PortCaster right here. Here's the MixerFace right here. And the one that you're probably the least familiar with, if at all, we've got here the SoapBox. And again, pardon the wiring mess here, because in order to demonstrate these, I have to have them all hooked up together. There's quite a bit of cabling going on here to do that, because I've got power going to each, and then I have an audio link going from our SoapBox to the R4 MixerFace. That's sending audio from the SoapBox mic input and out into the MixerFace. The SoapBox is actually a channel strip, or some would just call it a preamp, but it's a full-blown channel strip, meaning it's got a preamp and additional processing in addition to the preamp to further clean up the audio before it goes into the computer. And it's labeled on the unit, Analog Dynamics Processor, Preamp Gate Comp DS. Yeah, it does all that stuff. It does quite a few things. Now, this is going to be really useful for anybody who needs to do more than just record voice dry. This is going to be super helpful for people who actually want to live stream, whether they're going to live stream to their Facebook page like I'm doing right now, or live stream for a video gaming system that they're going to show on their Twitch channel, or if they just simply like to record live to drive, meaning they want to get the audio clean, clear, processed the way they want it to sound real time as they're recording, a la radio broadcast, which is really how all of it was done back then. We didn't use a lot of plugins and software. We actually had everything running real time, processing the audio as we go. So with this kind of a setup, you can do that. So that's the SoapBox. And then, so I mentioned the R4, I mentioned the SoapBox and the PortCaster. These are all unique from each other. One kind of takes place of the other. I would say the MixerFace is the version that you would consider if you don't need a built-in recorder. And the Centrance PortCaster is what you'd want to use if you do need a built-in recorder, because it has a built-in recording system. In other words, it can record internally, and that sets it apart. So let me show you that and show you the recording function and where it's located. There we go. So looking at the end of the unit, as you can see, there's a lot going on at the bottom of the PortCaster. So it's got a very simple recording interface, which I love about it, because all you have to do is put in a micro SD card like this one, pop it in the unit. There's a button sequence that you press when you power it on that formats the card. And once the card's formatted, this thing is ready to record. It just records stereo. So it records whatever the inputs are coming into the unit through the mic preamps on the front, right here. And it can also record in an auxiliary input through the aux 3.4 knob, which is this guy right here. So if you feed another signal in to the input jack here. That will also get recorded. So a very simple to use field recorder, and why I like devices like this is the ability to cut through the nightmare of setting levels and menu settings and all that kind of stuff. That's such a pain in the neck to do when you're under duress or under pressure. Most of the gear you're going to see out there, really pretty much everything else out there that's designed to be a field recorder or record on the road or remotely, or really honestly, even as a backup in your recording studio, requires a screen, menus, and all this other stuff you have to go through. This guy is ready to record as soon as the card is formatted. All you have to do is power up the unit and then press record. And this unit is recording. It's that easy. There's no menus to go through. You don't have to see if the input settings were set correctly. You don't have to check through to see if the system is in stereo or mono, what sample rate it's set to, bit rate, etc. It just records internally without additional hassle. And I love that about the unit. The simplicity is a lot of what makes this thing such a great. So I love that about this unit. And I have used this thing quite a deal. I have used this for numerous types of situations. One, I have used it as purely a standalone field recorder using the memory card and just a microphone or two plugged into the two inputs. I have used it as an interface to connect two microphones into my phone for doing a video interview. I've used this unit to connect two microphones or one microphone to a Mac or a PC to do traditional audio recording the same way you would do with any other audio interface that you might be accustomed to using. This can do all those different modes. But it has a few other little tricks up its sleeve. It's got a high pass filter. It's got a limiter switch, which when engaged will really add more of a compressor than it is a limiter, and that's going to keep your signals more leveled and less peaky and all over the map. And it makes for a smoother sounding audio feed and audio recording. And then it has another unique trick up its sleeve other than the limiter and the high pass filter. It also has a phone input mode. And what does that mean? There's no phone patch on this. There's nowhere to plug in a landline phone. But there is a jack on this side to plug in another audio cable that could be plugged into the headset jack of any computer with a headset jack, or any mobile device with a headset jack. And I know that mobile devices with headset jacks are essentially a thing of the past, but with a little $20 adapter, this jack right here becomes another connection that you can plug into a smartphone, and now your smartphone can be patched in so that you can make and receive calls. And that can be calls via the actual phone itself, like a normal landline phone, using Zoom on your phone, using really any communications type software on your phone. Even some of these communications platforms, such as Clubhouse, because this is connecting to your phone through a hands-free adapter, it'll even allow you to connect on Clubhouse. So it becomes a super high quality phone patch interface because of this clever little jack right here. Once that's plugged into your phone or to any computer, again, it could even be to the headset jack on my Mac. Once that's connected, that becomes the input to the front of this unit. And then you flick the little switch here with basically a SIM tool. I have it taped to the back for convenience, but you take your SIM tool. I have it taped really well to the back. See if I can slide it out. There we go. And you switch the other input accordingly. This second channel has two distinctly different modes depending on what you want to do, which is a really great design. You can also decide whether you want to record both inputs on separate tracks or if you want to record the two inputs mixed together. So if you want them on separate tracks, you turn this mix knob all the way to stereo, and now the two tracks are separated. This is awesome for podcasting, where you want to have your microphone on channel 1 and your guest that's patched in over your phone, over Zoom, over any other app on your computer on channel 2 and have them be recorded as separate tracks. But if you choose, you can blend them together 100%, and now you actually have the two combined, which is perfect for a streaming situation where you take both inputs, stream them out to somebody else or to a platform like gaming system or what we're doing today, a Facebook stream, and that knob will combine them together. Right below it is the aux input knob I was telling you about if you want to insert more audio from an external device, let's say a game system, another computer, or a phone, anything really that you can plug in with a mini jack. That's your aux. And then the knob over here for monitor is headphone monitor. It's just your headphone level. So if your headphones are plugged in here, monitor controls it. Again, on the bottom, a few more switches to talk about. You've got the phantom power switch, which pretty much everybody's going to be using to power their condenser mics. A mono or stereo monitor switch. This will determine whether the headphone jack is outputting a stereo signal left and right or a mono signal. Most of you will probably want this in mono so that you don't hear your own voice in only your left ear. You'll hear your voice in both the left and right ear. So that's what that's for. And then there's an output jack that has a low and a high sensitivity mode because depending on whether you're going to plug the line output into a DSLR camera, then you want to use high sensitivity. And then if you're going to plug it into something like a line input on another device that actually can handle a higher signal, you can switch it to low. So you can change how sensitive or how much output comes out of that line output jack with this switch right here. You'll also notice it's not plugged into anything, right? It's running on internal batteries. Maybe that's obvious, maybe not, but it's a battery-powered device that will also run on USB. And you can see there's a USB-C jack right here dedicated to the job of charging the unit or powering it. The other side is the USB port for data. This is for connecting to a computer. This can also connect to a mobile device with the right adapters to Lightning if it's an iPhone. And on the new iPhones, the new iPads and iPhone 15s and Android devices, just USB-C to USB-C, and this works like a normal portable audio interface. So that's the PortCaster. Now, what's the MixerFace? The MixerFace, which still is currently available, even though this was designed and released 4 or 5 years ago, this kind of just simplifies things and takes away a few of the features that you're paying for with the PortCaster. So the MixerFace R4, for example, does not have the phone patch functionality. That's not going to be on the MixerFace R4. It's going to have instead the ability to send 2 balanced signals out to monitor speakers. So this can actually serve as a desktop audio interface for a home studio because it's got dedicated, balanced left and right speaker outputs. You just need an 1/8" mini to 1/4" stereo cable or TRS, and that will adapt this into standard speaker inputs. And it's very clever packaging considering how tiny these things really are, right? You still have the ability to have a high pass filter, as you can see. They also, this one, another thing that sets this one apart, it has high Z mode. High Z mode means this will work with guitar or line level instrument inputs from a synth or guitar. So this is definitely the one that would be more musician friendly because of that. You can plug guitars and low or high Z devices right into the MixerFace. A lot of it will seem pretty similar to the PortCaster with 2 gain inputs. You've got the ability to blend in your headphones how much of channel 1 or mic 1 you're hearing versus the computer or signal coming back from the computer. And the other knob controls how much signal is coming back from the computer or the other input, which is unique. Turns this into a little bit of a monitor mixer. And then below that is the aux input knob. And that happens to be how I'm receiving a signal into the system right now. So as I turn this down, away goes my signal. That's because I'm sending the signal from into the MixerFace R4 through the aux jack. I can be running a signal like that, and as you can hear, there's zero buzz or hum or anything. And then lastly, monitor. This is my level going into my headphones. The end of the unit, which I will try to show you without disrupting any connections, is nowhere near as crowded because there's no recorder built into this. It only has the power input. It has a line in for the aux, a line out, headphone jack, and a charging cable over on this side. Yeah, this connector here is for charging, and this connector over here is for data. And then the power button below. And the reason why there's two separate USB inputs is sometimes you're going to be using a mobile device that cannot power the device. So it needs to get power from someplace else. So thereby a dedicated charging jack. And this also can charge the internal battery, allowing this to be used completely without any external power supply. Not that you would do that very often, since the unit needs to be plugged into your device anyway, but it does always need to get power from this source right here. So that's the MixerFace R4. And we'll check the prices later to make sure I'm giving you the right information, but this is going to be probably $100 cheaper than the PortCaster last time I checked, because it is much simpler and doesn't have the built-in recording capabilities. In fact, I will tell you right now what's going on for the deal. So let's take a look at the promotion he's doing right now. So the MixerFace right now is selling for $299. And that's actually the MixerFace R4D. So that's actually the model that comes with the built-in recorder. The one I am demonstrating here is the more simplified, stripped down R4 without the built-in recorder. And I'm not totally sure if the R4 is still available for sale, but you can always ask him and check the website to see if there's any R4s still available. Then there's the PortCaster, which right here I was showing you earlier, the PortCaster with the green faceplate. This one is selling right now in promotion for $349. And then lastly, the SoapBox. The SoapBox I haven't even talked about yet, and you've been hearing it the whole time. The SoapBox channel strip, portable channel strip, is selling for $299. I have to say, the thing that's probably the most similar to the SoapBox for anybody that's done any live streaming, podcasting, or broadcast, it's probably the most similar to like a DBX 286A. And that's a really popular channel strip. The SoapBox is really a fully featured channel strip shrunken down to the smallest possible form factor for portability, field use, or really dedicated home studio use. Let's take a quick tour of what the SoapBox has. By the way, as I mentioned earlier, you are hearing the SoapBox right now. This is the signal that my microphone is running through. I'm running the Audio-Technica AT3035 into the SoapBox, through the SoapBox channel strip, out, and into the MixerFace R4 right now. By the way, I'm here to answer any questions about this gear as well, since I've been using all of this stuff for many years, some of it, the MixerFace, for over 5 years, maybe 6, and the others I've used for quite a while now. I can answer any questions you might have about how they work and what they do while we're here. So, taking a closer look at the SoapBox. Let me see if I can get my camera in a better, tighter view. There we go. It's a little bit better. All right. At the top of the Centrance SoapBox, we've got our input setting for the mic input. And by the way, this one is different from the others. These have two inputs. The SoapBox has one mic input and one line output. It's just a mono signal processor, not for two mics at once. It has a high Z mode, just like the other ones do, so you can use it for a DI box for guitar or bass. It has a high pass filter for filtering out plosives and thumps, which I'll tell you, all these audio interfaces have that, and that is huge because most audio interfaces don't have a high pass filter, and most of us doing voiceover need one because our microphones pick up way too much low frequency noise. Then on this side, you'll see a few more modes for the input. The 48 volt phantom power switch is up here, and the pad switch, which you can engage when you're recording extremely loud sources, is also here at the top of the unit. Now, you'll notice a lot of different LED lights flashing away on here. I'll explain what they're all doing. The first light indicates when the gate engages. The gate is there to reduce noise when I'm not speaking. If I turn the gate knob all the way down, now I can hear my air conditioning rumbling away, right? Turn up the gate threshold, and now that becomes far less obvious. Then there's also a mix knob. The more I turn the mix knob towards wet, the more heavy the gate action is going to sound to your ears. So if it's on wet, that means the gate is 100% cutting out all room tone. As I turn the wet knob towards the dry direction, the gate provides less and less of a heavy-handed effect. So there, it acts more like what we would call an expander, meaning it's leaving some of the noise in the recording, but still allowing other parts of the noise to be removed to control essentially the room tone. You don't necessarily want a full binary on-off gate, so with that dry mix knob, you can control that. Below the gate knob is the compressor, and you'll see the compressor light up when I hit words extra hard. As I start projecting louder and louder, the compressor light indicator will light, letting you know the compressor is doing its thing. If I turn this knob all the way left, that's zero compression. Turn it to the right, and that's very heavy compression. Much too much. Then we have two more knobs, and these two knobs work in tandem with each other, or conjunction. This is the de-esser. The de-esser lets you choose a frequency at which the de-esser will start being effective. So if I turn this to the right, it's only going to affect very high frequencies like S's. And then the de-ess knob down below kind of works like the compressor knob. As you turn it up, it has more of a de-essing effect. I'm not very sibilant, and I'm not on a sibilant mic, but let's see if we can get the de-esser to kick in. Sibilance, 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 sibilance. There we go. Now the de-esser is actually kicking in. Sibilance. It's only kicking in when I'm really pushing hard on a sibilant S, but it is actually engaging, and you can see the light engaging, letting me know the sibilance is being reduced with the de-esser. So that's built into the unit too. For some of you, that feature alone, just the high-pass filter and the de-esser, might be all you need. You might want to leave the gate off and the compressor off for sessions where they want raw audio, and you may just want to use the de-esser and the high-pass filter to take out rumble and control your overly bright S's, which some people suffer from strong S's. There's some good S alliteration. That's what the SoapBox does. Now, the SoapBox has a few other interesting connections on the bottom, which I'll attempt to show you despite the fact that it's plugged in here. It has the power jack on the left. The other power jack is a through jack, meaning that whatever power goes in here, power will come back out on this side, so you can daisy chain and connect another device of similar design. And he has a few other pieces that work in conjunction with this, including the English channel EQ. Then he has a smart link system. This is a balanced connection that lets you, again, just like power can be linked, you can use these to link together multiple audio devices in his lineup, so that it provides a very clean way to do it without having to use large heavy-duty XLR cables. Then he has the ability to control whether the gate and the compressor are triggered locally or remotely. What that means is if you have this in a chain, you can decide whether the device down the chain is triggering it or the controls on this unit are actually controlling it. And that's what the local and remote switches do. So that's the SoapBox. This is actually now a permanent part of my booth rig whenever I'm doing live appearances, podcast records, or any sessions where I want the audio to be clean as possible so that the producers have an easier time in post. And I also love that because it has such a good headphone amp, I'm hearing in my headphones exactly what is being sent out on the other end, which I think is really cool. So those are the Centrance lineup right now that you can get. And I was going to tell you where to find those suckers. And they are on a special landing page that's been posted just for this time period. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a link to where you can access that landing page. It's actually a newsletter. So if you're not already a subscriber to the Centrance newsletter, sign up so you don't miss sales like this one, and you'll get these newsletters. This one is the Labor Day sales newsletter. And so I'll give you the link to access this so you can read it and get access to these special prices, because the links to buy these are only linked from this newsletter. And let's see what happens. I hope you guys found that useful. Maybe you learned a little bit about some gear you hadn't heard about before. And yeah, happy to answer questions. Send me comments, drop comments below or in the comment stream for this video if you're watching it later. And I'll come back, check it from time to time, and answer questions when they come up. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out with me. This is George the Tech.